Carter Starocci shuts out the number one seed in Mekhi Lewis and moves on to the semifinals at 174. Even on an injured leg, never a doubt.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Whether he's at 100%, 90%, 80%, 50%, for crying out loud, it is easy to bank on Starocci to win any of these bouts in the 174-pound class. That's the second best wrestler, and he didn't score any points. Mekhi Lewis did not put up a single point. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Seyko, and thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Carter Starocci and 5 other Nittany Lions move on to the semifinals, and Penn State is well ahead in the team standings as well. This is going to be a quick reaction, just a simple update. A session for the semifinals are still tonight on this Friday evening for March 22nd, but I think it's appropriate to react to Starocci's match and some other things that stood out from earlier in the day on this Friday. Of course, Braden Davis losing, Bernie Truax losing, but everyone else still able to be victorious. Like I said, 6 Nittany Lions moving to the semifinals, and everybody else undefeated in consolations, Aaron Nagao and Tyler Kasak, respectively. Beginning with Carter Starocci. Some people are saying this is the de facto championship, and it could get better. It could get better. The semifinal matchup tonight between Starocci and Shane Griffith of Michigan, that one, it might even be better than Starocci and Mekhi Lewis, but never a doubt. And I'm not going to sit here and brag or say, oh, I knew, but it is easy when you listen to what Carter Starocci has to say, when you watch him perform on the mat, regardless of how up to strength he is, if he's at 100%, if he's a quarter of that at 75, 50, it doesn't matter. Never a doubt. I understood the concern. He did not look like himself in day one, and we were honest about that on the show. But it wasn't blind optimism when I said that I was not concerned. He had to shake off rust. My point being that, yes, the training, the rehab, all of that's exhausting, and you haven't wrestled competitively. I get it. It's the Nittany Lion Wrestling mat room. The best wrestlers are all in Happy Valley. I totally understand that. But you're not wrestling an opponent who is trying to actively beat you. So you've been removed from competition for what, a month? You didn't wrestle at Big Tens, so you have to shake off rust, and that's simply what it was. Simply what it was. He should have pinned his first opponent in Sparks out of Minnesota, but then the one against Kemp, and Kemp wrestled very well, but Carter still is able to find a way to win. And that was the case against Mekhi Lewis. There was still a clear gap. I felt like if they went longer, say they went another 2-minute period, Carter Starocci, all he had to do was hold out, because bonus points, again, you don't need bonus points from Carter Starocci. The fact that you take down the number one seed in this bracket, you shut out the number one seed, and you look fairly in control for a majority of that bout. I'd even go to argue to say the entirety of it. But this wasn't blind optimism. Carter is just that good. He had to shake off some rust. He tired Lewis out. It looked like Lewis in that final 60 seconds was completely out of gas and had no answer. He had that final shot attempt, but it doesn't matter. Carter, the point being about Carter just being overall, and everybody knows this isn't some expert analysis, but Carter's game is so complete that even with a leg injury, he doesn't overly rely on one aspect of his game. He'll win on his feet. He'll win by attacking you. He'll win by defending, which is what he did. He played defense for a majority of it, and look what it turned out. He landed one shot, was able to get one escape, and it's 4-0. But he'll win on bottom. He'll win on top. Speed, finesse, power, any of those things. He can play any card, and he is going to win. That is where Carter Starocci is. He is just on a completely different level. And then he's going to face Shane Griffith in the semifinals. And all these Penn State Nittany Lions, the 6 of them that are moving on. Again, we'll go through them here in this quick instant recap here. But Carter Starocci is an All-American along with those other 5. And then the ones in consolation still got to wrestle back through to get that All-America status. So it's looking, the points record is still attainable. 10 out of 10 All-Americans are still attainable. Carter winning that bout against Mekhi Lewis. I understand that people thought that this one wasn't going to turn out in favor of Starocci, that Mekhi Lewis was going to move on. but never a doubt over here on Locked On Nittany Lions. Joining Starocci in the semifinals, Mitchell Messenbrink, Levi Haynes, Bo Bartlett, Aaron Brooks, Greg Kirkfleet. Let's discuss the results from Session 3, as well as some other thoughts on the other side of this break. This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in the below-the-waist grooming. Clear out that winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom like the springtime flowers. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our special offer. Go to manscaped.com and use code LOCKEDON for 20% off and free shipping. Introducing the season's champ, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth where your heart desires. It also features dual LED headlights to guide you through the darkest winter debris. Navigate with confidence in your delicate areas. Hate making a mess? Not to worry. This bad boy is waterproof, so you can shave in the shower, the bathtub, or even in the ocean if you really want to. Whether you're looking to craft your signature look, clean up the neckline, these are always the right tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code LOCKEDON at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking out one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. And just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to take it to the next level. How about the Michigan State Spartans? They can only be described as a Pathfinder. They've been thrilling to watch and have created a lane for themselves after knocking off Mississippi State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Many questioned if they deserved a spot, even in the big dance. And now they find themselves dancing in the second round where they will face North Carolina. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop all of them and more right now at nissanusa.com. That is nissanusa.com. And remember, if you're not already, become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast for the latest conversations around your favorite Penn State sports teams. Let me know in the comments what you think about Penn State's performance in Session 3, sending 6 wrestlers in the semifinals. All 10 are still alive, and that points record is still attainable. 10 out of 10 All-Americans is still attainable. Now, it's going to take Penn State would essentially have to go perfect here because you have to compare it to what the Iowa team in 1997 did. They had 6 finalists, 5 national individual champions, and then 8 All-Americans. So this is still very doable here. It's a tough record. I understand that it's like, well, maybe not this year, but maybe in the coming year. No, Penn State can absolutely threaten this record here. They can break it. They need those 6 semifinalists to advance to the championship. They need 5 of them, at least 5 of them, to win. And then ideally, you would like to have all 10 wrestlers alive. Now, it is going to be difficult in other places as opposed to some other situations, but it is attainable. It's still doable. And I think they can do it here with the way that Penn State is set up going into Session 4. As far as some of the other results go, again, we talked about the 5 others that are joining: Carter Starocci, Aaron Brooks, Levi Haynes, Bo Bartlett, Mitchell Messenbrink, Greg Kirkfleet. Outstanding performances by some, and sometimes you just got to win ugly. You just got to win ugly. But let's go through the overall results, and I want to begin with Braden Davis because there was controversy around this one. We're losing to Richard Figueroa by a 3-2 decision, and all elements of the bout can be true. Richard Figueroa, was he stalling? Yes. Did Braden Davis not exactly, was he overly aggressive or did he wrestle pessimistically in that one? Should he have attacked a little more aggressively and been more active on offense? Yes. So those two elements came together. Did the refs miss calls, locking fingers, stalling? Absolutely. All 3 elements of that are true. Figueroa stalled, Davis wasn't aggressive enough, and the refs were making the incorrect no calls. because there should have been locked fingers. There should have been a stall warning, but Davis, for him to rely on the refs, because it looked like he was confused. It looked like he thought he was going to get a stall point at the end there to send it into sudden victory with a 3-3 score. And that didn't happen. Braden Davis is immature and all these things. He's a true freshman. He's a true freshman. This is his first trip at NCAAs. There are other wrestlers have been upset with the way that the results have gone. I didn't see anything that was overly egregious from Davis. I thought it was the same thing, like Carter Starocci, a heat of the moment type of thing. These wrestlers can be emotional. Right? He was looking for a call from the ref. He didn't get it. And that's what my issue at the end of the day is. Don't rely on the refs to call locked fingers or stalling and hope for that point. I do think that he should have attacked sooner rather than later, but that never came. And that's why that result went the way it did. If it's not going to be called, Figueroa can do what he wants, right? If the refs aren't going to make that judgment call, Figueroa is more than likely going to stall and just win, because that's all that matters at the end of the day. Survive and advance. If you have to win ugly, win ugly. And now Davis is in the consolations and will wrestle round 4 against Jory Volk, the 5 seed here out of Wyoming. Doesn't get any easier. Davis is really talented. I like his chances here against Volk, but it's certainly, I was surprised when he lost to Figueroa because it felt like he was the better wrestler, but Figueroa had control. Whether he stalled or not, or whatever the referee said or didn't say, didn't call, that's the fact of the matter. Moving on to just Aaron Nagel quickly. Impressive performance by him. Nagel winning both of his consolation matches, defeating somebody, and this was nice to see. Nick Bazakis of Ohio State lost to him earlier in the season, comes full circle, is able to beat him, and then he advances, and he will face the number 3 seed, Kai Orini, out of North Carolina State. Bo Bartlett, one of the semifinalists, pinning his opponent. And I got to give a lot of props to the 26th seed. Vance Vombauer took Bartlett down to the wire, and then Bartlett able to catch him in those final, 15 seconds and get the pin. Bonus points important too if they're going to try to go after that scoring record still. And Bartlett pins his way into the semifinals. And then for Tyler Kasek. Tyler Kasak's loss is only disappointing from the fact of he is just really talented and has turned the corner, because there was the concern him and Nagel lost early and they were down in consolations. Kasek is very capable of wrestling all the way around and possibly finishing in 3rd. Definitely, I think 5th is more likely here, because he's got to go through Jackson Arrington in the consolation. But you pinned the number 9 seed, Ethan Fernandez, out of Cornell. Then you win by major decision over Graham Rooks of Indiana. Tyler Kasek is as good as advertised. He just got caught in an unfortunate matchup in the opening round. That was a 4-time NCAA qualifier. That is a redshirt senior. That is somebody that's been there. Maturity, experience paid off. Tyler Kasek draws anybody else in that first round, he's probably in the semifinals at this point. They ran into a Jaden Abbas who was just a little more prepared in this case. Levi Haynes, we know all about him. He's going to face Bryce Andonian of Virginia Tech and took out Peyton Robb 8-0 with a major decision in the quarterfinals. 4-0 against Peyton Robb in his career. And just to see how close they were a season ago when Haynes was a true freshman, and now as a sophomore, and just the way he's able to just win decisively. No questions asked against Peyton Robb. That's just how far Levi Haynes has come in respect to that one. Mitchell Messenbrink, I thought he was going to get bonus points at the end there, win by major decision against Cam Amin, but gets it done, 6-1 decision. And then somebody he has beaten decisively as well, Mikey Caliendo. He is going to meet the Iowa wrestler once again at the 165 semifinals. I already talked about Carter Starocci at 174. If you need to go back, play the first segment over again. And then at 184, Bernie Truax. I can't hold this one against him. And it's just so unfortunate. Graduate, senior, transfer. This is his final run through NCAAs, and it looks like he's picked up a leg injury of his own against Dustin Plott. Dustin Plott's tough, but do not look at the score. Yes, it's a 16-6 major decision, but it looked like Bernie just ran completely out of gas after that point, was really favoring that leg, was limping. There was noticeable pain in the middle of some scrambles with Plott. It's just an unfortunate circumstance. I hope he doesn't have to default. I hope he does wrestle in consolations, because he can still place and be an All-American. And he would be a 4-time All-American if he does that. That's impressive for his career. It's a shame if he would have to go out like this. For Aaron Brooks, Still in a class of his own. That's the number 8 seed, Stephen Buchanan out of Oklahoma, and he wins by fall. Wins by fall in under 3 minutes. It's a crash course. Him and Trent Hidley are going to meet in the championship. I'm excited for that Trent Hidley Tanner Sloan matchup at 197, but I think it's going to be Aaron Brooks Hidley. Part 4 at this point, part 5. It's really exciting, and Brooks does still have a favorable matchup here. Surprise, the number 12 seed, Rocky Elam out of Missouri. That's going to be the semifinal matchup. And then let's look at heavyweight here with Greg Kirkfleet winning 1-0 against Nick Feldman. This series between the two of them, you saw Greg Kirkfleet win in the regular season, in the Big Ten championship, and Feldman just keeps coming along. Young wrestler, is going to be a force in the Big Ten and probably nationally at heavyweight for years to come, because he is still lacking a little bit of experience, but he gets better every time he faces Kirkfleet. Almost landed that shot in the end, but Kirkfleet just so strong up top, able to fend it off, sprawl away, and wins 1-0. It's not bonus points, would be nice for Penn State, but win ugly, survive in advance, and he is going to face Colton Schultz. Colton Schultz was one of those wrestlers we talked about at 285 that was just going to make an impact, and here he is in the semifinal. And I got ahead of myself when I said Younger Bastida was going to meet Kirkfleet in the championship. That's not the case. Davison out of Michigan, the number 10 seed here, beat Younger Bastida and knocked him down to consolation. So how about that? There is no mercy at these NCAA championships. No mercy at all in Kansas City. And here we are, the semifinals coming up, session 4, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Jeff Byers is going to have the call once again at Go PSU Sports. If you're doing what I'm doing, syncing up the broadcast on the stream on ESPN with Jeff Byers' call, that's how you do it if you are a Penn State wrestling fan. We're going to recap it all day 2 as well as day 3. So stick around here if you're not already. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for these conversations, for these discussions, as we will have recaps for day 2 and day 3 in their entireties right here on the show. Be sure to like the episode, share it with friends and family, leave a comment in the comment section to be a part of the discussion, and keep it right here for more conversations around your favorite Penn State sports teams on Locked On Nittany Lions.